Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast, Never Lost, Natalie and Leah. And we're here with the man, the myth, the legend, Walter Driscoll.
Hello.
Walter.
Thank you for having me.
It feels kind of serendipitous to have you on because I remember a couple months ago, you reached out to me and I wasn't even doing the podcast. And you were like, come on my show. And it was like, me, little old me. And that kind of like kickstarted a lot. So it's really neat to have you here and be chatting with you and have the tables turn, asking you the questions this time. Should be fun.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah.
Had you done videos up to that point?
No
really?
videos, just simply lots of writing, poetry. And I think that's that's how you discovered me, but I was doing a lot of writing online.
Yeah, that might be it. I either find people on Facebook who are posting a lot of good stuff, or I find people making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Let's jump into
you always
that.
have such a you always have such a wide variety of guests on, with such a wide range of stories.
Yeah, I love it because you don't discriminate between if this one's so radical or if this one is less radical or whatever. You're open to so many different perspectives and you're giving your audience like a very multifaceted viewpoint from different various people, which is really cool. So my question to you is like, what inspired you to do all this?
Oh, to start the channel and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, what inspired me? Well, there's a lot of ways I could answer that. I guess in one way it's Emerson kind of did the same thing to me as I did for you, in the sense that he saw me posting and he said, "Hey, you want to come on?" At that time, it was Nothing Media. And so I did an interview with him. And then I don't know, I think that maybe sparked something. So I just started making videos after that. I did videos for a while. And then I just started interviewing people and just became what it is. Yeah, I just love interviewing all different kinds of people. And I get suggestions from people to like who to interview. Also, sometimes the person themselves will say, "Hey, here's my channel, check it out, see what you think." But that was pretty much it. Before that, I just post a little bit here and there, not too much, more of just reading and watching other people. But it was nice to get involved, participate a little more.
Yeah.
Instead of just watching, from the outside.
How long have you had your channel? How long have you been doing this?
Maybe 2.5 years, almost 3,
okay.
I think. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of people around when COVID hit started doing more stuff like that. A lot of people's creativity had a chance to.
Yeah. I know this is a funny question, Walter, but I'm curious, like which interview that you've done kind of left you like dumbfounded or like, wow, this is such a cool, like different perspective. Is there any like specific interview that you can think of that you're like, man, this really sticks out to me?
Oh, like that I was, I think Andreas Mueller was really good. I forget what exchange it was, but there was one point where I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that. So he had me thinking.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of great ones. A lot of good people out there, very generous and kind. And, have talked to me off the air. So that's been nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay, let's get into some of your points of view.
Okay, sure.
Let's get into the juice.
Yeah, oddly, I think they're very different than a lot of people I talk to.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so. I think I focus on different things, you know.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. Like, what do you think you focus on that's a little bit different, maybe?
Um, well, basically, that shift or whatever you want to call it, just showed me, or the veil was lifted, however you want to say it, that this is just all the same outpouring, the same expression, that there is no separate entity, there's no separate existence, there's no separate will, there's no my will, your will, there's just no thing seemingly expressing itself through all these different unique perspectives. This is something Howard Chance just posted about. I had a quick exchange and then he paraphrased the whole thing and posted it, and I was like, I don't even think I actually said that, but that's okay. I just said I love all these unique expressions of this non-separation. It's like different points of light, but all shining from the same. But I don't see necessarily that there's a source, or there's like one will. Even it's just, so it seems like all these different lives being lived. It seems like certainly I'm separate from you guys. We're in different locations. Our brains are having different thoughts, and we see different things and have different experiences. But I think, I don't know who I was talking to, but I'm like, it's like your hand, it's like all these figures, if I hold it down like that, yeah, they look like they're separate, but they're all sort of a part of the same hand, but they can move in different ways. And so I think that's what occurred to me. And what the shift was, I didn't feel any longer like I had to get somewhere, or I had to acquire some understanding, some profound, deep, or have these experiences, or that nothing needed to be realized, really. And there's no self to realize. There's no separate self that needs to realize what all these apparent other gurus or whatever have seen. I mean, that was it. And to me, that's all of it. And so when I know I think there's a heavy focus on dropping knees and this kind of talk. And I guess I don't, I'm not under the delusion that there's cause and effect. I mean, what I like to talk about is what already is the case. And if it, if the illusion of separation falls away, I don't see there's any cause and effect. So I don't think it's linked to listening to talks, for example. And sometimes I hear that, and there's this idea that if you go to a lot of, because radical non-duality has just kind of in a way become just like everything else. And at the start of a lot of these talks, you'll hear just a complete dismissal of all the previous stuff that the person's done. So I used to meditate, I used to go, but now I'm into radical non-duality. It's like switching seats on the Titanic. It doesn't make a difference. You know what I mean? It's the same. This is not my life. These are not my experiences. These are not my thoughts. This is just what seems to be happening. So you go to a radical non-duality meeting, go to someone that's talking about awareness, go to someone that's talking about consciousness. It doesn't matter.
Go to Disney World.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's something Natalie and I have chatted about. It's like, okay, we're talking about this, but we could be talking about shopping or any subject, really. It's just, it's funny.
What do you think about like, it's almost like that need to figure out what's behind something, what is the well, what is it really? And that kind of need to know that is almost laughable, like what could be known other than what is appearing, what do you think about when you hear not to? What does that mean? What kind of thoughts come up when you hear that? Not to.
Yeah, I like not to, because sometimes you hear about oneness. And yeah, there's an idea that we can figure out what that oneness is. Where is all this coming from?
Right.
What is generating these appearances? What is behind it? And that can't be known because, as they say, the observer is the observed, or, I am that, as Nisargadatta Maharaj said, this appearance that we're trying to figure out what's behind it, what's causing it, what does it mean, meaning and purpose, is the very thing that's trying to figure it out. So there's no way to get outside of it, so it's the mystery is trying to figure out the mystery. And there's no way to do that.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a
Yeah.
question that you had actually asked me.
Okay, sure.
Do you believe this is an illusion?
An illusion? Not really. Because I don't think there's anyone to be eluded. I think an illusion is from a perspective of, like someone's doing a magic trick and I'm being fooled somehow. Appearance is good, but then, what's the appearance appearing to?
Yeah.
So all these pointers or words.
Are there even pointers? Yeah.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Who's pointing at what? What are we pointing at? I mean, it's kind of funny, like nothing is maintainable, and so this idea of there's this perception shift that now you're going to see everything in the way it really is, and it's almost like, and it's just innocence, but it's almost like there's this idea that if I can know what this is, then this could lead to a better life, like that whole cause and effect, and yeah, sure, go ahead and meditate, that's fine, it may calm the nervous system, but then what is being sold is that little carrot on the stick, it's not really like going to lead to a calm, blissful state that could be maintained. And I think that's where a lot of that suffering comes in, but what do you think about like the controller of thoughts? All thoughts are being like appearing because I'm doing it. You get a lot of people saying, well, there are these categories of thoughts, like, automatic thoughts, and then thoughts that are just being produced by a thinker. And it kind of like, what do you think about that?
Well,
all or none. I mean,
you said a lot there. I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I
end up talking a lot.
It's beautiful because, well, you said one thing that stuck out. Like, I used to think I had it sort of figured out. Like this body is solid and real, and I'm, in charge of my life, and I'm making decisions. And so, actually, after the shift, it left things more a mystery than they ever were. So it's not, so rather than like, it wasn't like I saw the truth or I was given the answers. I think it really left everything up to question, in the sense that I don't know what anything is. And that's, I bring up Howard again, but like he really
I love Howard.
brings home that point that nothing is verifiable, and that any claim is baseless. And
right.
And that's kind of, so it sounds like a scary place to live, like, oh, I don't even know what anything is, but it's just a beautiful mystery. I don't know what this table is, it's no thing appearing as a table. it's tabling.
Yeah.
So it's this childlike wonder and awe that I think a lot of people talk about because, I no longer have anything figured out. I never did. It was just,
Right.
I just
Yes.
was buying into the solidity of things and that there was free will and choice here and everywhere else and all these autonomous beings moving around. And about when you say about thoughts, yeah, they just kind of seem to just pop in from nowhere and then there seems to be like an observer of thoughts, like, oh, what do I think about my thought? It's like that's all we have to think about are more thoughts. It's
Yeah.
like they say, turtles all the way down is just thoughts.
Yes.
They're thinking about thoughts and thoughts about thoughts. My thoughts about your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
My
that
thoughts about who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you're enlightened, Walter, tell me, what do you think about your thoughts? Like, do they still affect you? Do you still feel like you're hooking into them? Is it a little lighter? What is it like there over for you?
I think lighter is fair. Because that can be another trap to talk about the benefits of seeing non-duality or something. The main thing is that the seeking energy disappeared, evaporated, what have you, because there really is nowhere to get in this sense that I was seeking, that I was incomplete, that I was apart from, that this FOMO or whatever, I'm like, those guys know something or they have something. I just gotta get it, So it was nothing like that. But it's very ordinary. It's very much the same as it always was. Things frustrate me, getting into a fender bender or all these normal things that, if you saw me react, you wouldn't think, oh, that guy's enlightened. You might say, what an asshole, or, wow, he's really aggravated, or, I mean, I certainly don't come off any differently. But I think there was this underlying nagging feeling that not enough, and that there's always more, there's always something else that I'm not there yet. What's the name of your podcast? Isn't it something like that?
It's Never Lost. And I said
Never lost.
Maybe we should have went with Always Lost.
Well, I used to feel like I was always lost, right? And now I'm always home. Like you can never leave home. I never left home. That was the illusion, that I was lost and I wasn't home. And
beautiful.
So the shift, I wouldn't never use the word enlightenment. Of course, you see, there's no separate person to become enlightened, to claim or be proud of something called enlightenment.
I say that very tongue in cheek.
Oh, I know. Of course.
It's so interesting. I have another question for you. It's something that pops up frequently. Natalie and I have debated this, and we've been asked this quite a few times, is how do you feel about helping others? Do you feel the need to help others? Do you feel like you are helping others? What is this whole thing with helping others?
That's a great question. Helping others in the sense that they're talking about non-duality, you mean specifically?
Non-duality, life, like in general, how do you see another? What do you feel like you can help another?
I mean, if we're just talking, sort of like I've done a one-to-one with somebody. and I didn't feel great about it, you know. And that's the only one I've ever done because I don't really think that's my bag. Partially because what I said earlier, I don't really think that I don't want anybody to think that talking to me for an hour is going to do anything for them, you know. But I think what we can offer people is support and company, and you know, I guess in non-duality, there's this community, and some people are lonely, and they love to come to these meetings, and they get this sense of camaraderie and kinship, and we're talking about something really weird and
Yes.
and
It's
I
so
think people who've
strange.
had some experiences, glimpses or otherwise, just really are drawn to these types of conversations. So I think that could be helpful in itself. But I saw some friends last night, and I felt helped by them, just the friendship and the love, and making plans and going out and just yeah, that to me is help, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
can't bring anybody to what's already there, what's already the
Right.
case.
Yes.
There's nothing lost. There's, you know, it's wholeness appearing as separation, or it's no thing appearing as everything. It's so, yeah, I always think of the Wizard of Oz, you know, that the wizard didn't give the Tin Man anything he didn't already have.
Yeah.
You know,
That's funny you
so
bring that up, because we were just talking with James Plath, who you've interviewed, and he brought up the
yes,
Wizard of Oz multiple times,
Yeah.
talking about how Dorothy was always home. But I like that perspective that you just shared. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah, I think,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that's all you can do is just point out that you've never left home. But I don't know what, you know, if someone's in the throes of seeking, and
Yeah. It couldn't be otherwise.
they're
Yeah.
not going
It's
to
just
be
how
able
it
to hear
is.
that. Yeah, I don't know, but until they can, or I don't,
Yeah.
who knows?
It's
There's no
almost like it's heard
process.
how it's heard. That yes. Yeah. No process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it seems to all be processed in the sense that I remember a therapist once said to me, said that to me. He's like, I don't know. I guess he was messing with me. He's like, you got to get to the next level. You got to get to the next level. And I'm like, all right, got to get to the next level. And then he's like, there are no levels. It's just all process.
Yeah.
It's like you always just are where you are. And it's like, it's not a level, it's not a stage, it's not a step on a, you know, somewhere.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
just
leading to something, you know?
exactly.
When there's a process, it's like, okay, I'm here and now I have to get here. And that it seems like that, but it's not actually leading to anything. It's not, I mean, the appearance is ever changing, and then all of a sudden it may stop appearing, you know? And it's like, okay, you know, there's these thoughts like, I don't know, it's just so weird to think about these thoughts of like, okay, if I could get this, then I will later. I mean, I was raised a Christian, you know, and through this process of like forgiveness and all this, I will end up in a very good place other than what this is. And it'll be called heaven, and I'll be so happy, you know. And so it was like throughout this whole entire lifetime, a parent lifetime of being a Christian. And then all of a sudden, that just wasn't appearing anymore, you know, that there wasn't a belief in that. And what do you think about this? What about beliefs? You know, a belief may appear, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's not leading to something, a belief, you know.
Like a
What do you
religious
think about
belief.
Yeah, like any belief, a belief in spirituality, oneness, any type of belief like that. It just appears that way as a belief, but it doesn't lead. What do you think about that? It doesn't lead to anything necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, all those beliefs kind of fell away
Mm.
in that moment, because I don't see any
Believer.
source for anything, or any
Yeah.
will, or any um any force that's so there's nothing to tap into. There's no one to tap into something else apart from me. So that was always the beliefs that I need to hook up to this thing somehow. That's this thing that's apart from me.
Yeah.
Whether it was God or maybe it's the law of attraction, the universe. There was me plus the universe. So there's duality. But if all there is this apparent happening, these words coming out, this conversation, this, and it's not even the most. A lot of people hear that as there's only this moment, or there's only the now. There's not even something called the now or this moment.
Right.
There's nobody to be in a moment. There's no this, but that's all I can say is there's just this. So what could I do? It's already happening. It's already apparently happening. But I mean, it's just, so there's nothing I can do to manipulate this experience.
Yeah.
It just is.
It just is.
And at the same time, nothing is. That's another aspect of this. That nothing is apart from perception. So I have my story and my narrative. That doesn't stop, after the shift. I still have a story. I still have, people say this character and all that kind of stuff. So, so there's this whole thing about me and my life that is still going on, but I mean, I didn't create it. It's not my story. I'm not the narrator. I'm not the author.
It's just effortlessly, like when you're in a conversation like this conversation here, it's just, I mean, words are coming out. It's like there's this, I don't know, this is weird, but like this thought that, okay, there's a brain, a lot of this talk about the brain, and then all this knowledge is stored somewhere that is being held on to while I'm walking through life, and then I'll go through. But it's really like everything's a story. This is even going to be a story, but the words seem to effortlessly come out. Response happens, automatic. It's just so automatic, even as the language is just flowing, hands are moving, there's just all this happening, and sorry, tangent.
No, it's like
But
it's like a programmed computer, the brain. It's like all this programming, conditioning, all the experiences I've had, my childhood, the school I went to, all these influences. So when these words come out, even in that sense, they're not my words.
Yeah.
And
the memories, it's as if there was thoughts like, I have these memories. These are my memories. And I've had them the whole time. But where were they? They weren't even appearing until maybe I was asked, hey, what'd you do on your 10th birthday? Just something would come out. It's not like I was wondering and I have to think about it. It seems like that sometimes, like, let me think. But really, it's just so like spontaneous, Yeah.
it's spontaneous, and yet you're not separate from it. So
No.
it's you simultaneously. So they're still choosing, living life without that separation between the doer and the non-doer. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that, Walter?
The separation between the doer and the non-doer.
Because we still have these appearances, these bodies still moving through space and time, still having a life, still having goals, achievements. There's things, you're choosing to come on to a podcast and talk about this. So there's still this being that's living, growing, moving, having relations at the same time of saying, I'm not a doer. So where do you fall into this whole mix? Curious.
Oh, well, there's no doership can be said in different ways. There's no authorship, no ghost in the machine. So to me, that is as clear as day. There's no decider. Decisions get made. So, aside from talking about appearances and there's no solidity and all that stuff. So there's a body here that is known as Walter that does things.
Yeah.
Obviously, I made this coffee. I'm talking, and I don't go around speaking in the third person and all that. And I say me, myself, and I, and unless I'm talking about non-duality. But then, so yeah, so things are, I'm going to work. I have a girlfriend. I'm, do lots of things. Things are being done. There's a life being lived. But there's just no actual Walter in there somewhere deciding and choosing. And I heard an analogy of like, at the amusement park, you get in one of these rides that has a steering wheel, but it's on a track and it's just going to go where it's going to go. But you have this illusion of being able to turn the wheel and go in different directions. So there's this illusion of free will. But I heard it we're doomed to make decisions. We don't have free will when it comes to making a decision or not. Like decisions will be made, but there's no decider. That's why I think people say talk about verbs as opposed to nouns. So it's just Waltering. There's just Waltering happening. There's no Walter. It's just Waltering. There's no God. There's just godliness. There's no separation. There's no thing called Walter apart from the totality. So, but yeah, that seems obvious. Like that these words are just coming out. These hands are moving. This coffee was made. All these, this life being lived. That there's just no one living it, but there is this apparent life. But I don't deny all that. So if I say, "Oh, I didn't go to the store," it's just a way of saying no one decided to go to the store. But going to the store happens.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like the specialness of the character, the specialness of any appearance kind of like loses that. It's like there's no specialness. There's nothing, no appearance of any more or less value, any more valid or invalid. But then in that, specialness appears with a loved one or whatever. And it's just kind of like the equality of all appearance, that nothing has any greater or less meaning to it. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, only what you give to it. So like I said earlier, nothing is apart from perception. So it's funny. I hear a lot of speakers say, "Oh, there's nothing right or wrong with that," and then, but when they say that, they're trying to say there's something wrong with that. It's usually they'll be like shitting on meditation and then say, "Well, there's nothing right or wrong with that." But the point is, there's nothing right or wrong. Ultimately,
yes.
They talk about the absolute and the relative. In the absolute sense, there's nothing right or wrong. There's no specialness. There's no meaning or purpose. But in a subjective, relative experience, that seems to be happening. Of course, there's meaning and purpose and specialness. And I mean, I love my kids more than I love someone else's kids. You know what I mean? What am I going to say? So the people in my life have special meaning and purpose and value, and and all that. And I'm not going to claim
Yeah.
that that's not true, but I also understand it's a subjective relative experience
Yeah.
that seems to be happening here.
Yeah.
And that's why people say, oh, that's just what's happening there. This is what's
Yeah.
happening here. Here, my kids
There.
are the best, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Of course.
yeah, so I'm just saying as an example, you know, to deny that is silly. It's
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
real and the unreal. You gotta present
Yeah.
Mhm.
a comprehensive, complete whole picture of what we're talking about. That there is still feelings and emotions and love and hurt and being hurt
Yeah.
and all of that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes. You know, in the, I mean, this is always changing, you know, ever changing, but nothing changes. I mean, I feel like a lot of times, and it's just innocence, it really is. But there's this misunderstanding that if non-duality is seen, if there's actually seeing timelessness or seeing, you know, something, that it will change a life and it will make it better. And that's like the carrot on the stick, you know, like dangling. Ooh, it could be this way. But I mean, if that happens, that's just what's happening there. You know, what do you think about that kind of, maybe the need to see the timeless, see the changeless, see this other than what is, you know, that's still kind of like I just feel like there were thoughts about that with, you know, non-duality, and that's just what was happening when there was a first hearing of this, you know.
Mhm.
And there were thoughts like, oh my gosh, like, what are they talking about? Kind of like what you were saying earlier. They're saying it's nothing, but it seems like there's something. And then, you know,
Well, you see, it's the timeless appearing as time.
yeah.
It's the formless appearing as form. No thing appearing as everything. It's the you know, the no will, the no volition, the no appearing as free will. Appearing, you know, so it's
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
always, there's no separation between the absolute and the relative. It is the
Yeah.
absolute appearing as the relative.
As the relative.
Yeah.
You know,
Beautiful.
so
Yeah.
it's not, there's nothing behind it. It's just this is what it is, you know.
Yes.
And it could be worse, you know, because a lot of people talk about full on. So when there's
Mm.
no escaping and there's no
Yeah.
running away from anything, and there's no handholds anymore, and there's no,
Yeah.
you know, my special spiritual practice that's gonna get me to some other state.
Yeah.
So all there is this, and it's just full on. So it could be full on anxiety, or full on sadness, or full on, you know, I think I shed some pretty heavy tears after the shift, because it was so like, you know,
Mm.
no
Yeah.
filter. Yeah. So, and that could be because of the beauty, or it could be for a variety of reasons. But yeah, so the emotions and the feelings are even more present, I would say.
Yeah, that's so interesting you say that, because Natalie and I have chatted about that quite frequently as well, is like when something happens, it's just fully felt. And it's like, well, you're not sitting there making a story or analyzing or coming up with some sort of conclusion about it. It's just like whoosh. And then it passes, you know, it always passes, but in the throes of it, it's just like, whoa, where's this intensity coming
There's no
from?
controller of it.
Right?
Yeah. It's just that. Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
allowed to be, so it just comes through and then leaves. But it's just it's almost like waves of a ocean rolling through, and it's like, okay, here's one, whoo, here we go, and then whoosh. And it's just you know, there's no telling when it's going to show up or whatever, but it's just full on felt. So I think both of us could relate to you in that regard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I almost thought that when I would listen to speakers that it just wouldn't feel it, like unflappable, untouchable, that nothing would bother them, that they would just,
Yeah.
you know,
Right. That's the image they paint is
Yeah.
like a Nisargadatta or a Ramana. Ramana just walked around like zenned out, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna be in a Zen mind. Right. Such an image to try and keep up with and follow. Yeah.
yeah. But that would seem like, oh, there's a separate individual there that now has these, superpowers or something. So it's funny. It's just there's nothing apart from this, so it's not like I feel connected or anything like that. But I also don't feel apart from. So like I heard it, this guy Wayne Lickerman said, it's like not having a stone in your shoe anymore.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Nice.
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to describe an absence of something, but there certainly was this presence of a stone in my shoe that's not there anymore. And that stone is the feeling of being separate, the feeling of being not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And so do you feel like, going back again to like helping others, do you feel like talking about this, bringing the awareness to the public, do you find that it's helpful or not helpful at all? What is your stance on speaking about this?
Helpful. I guess I guess not helpful. But
No,
if I'm going back by my own story, which is, I really wasn't interested in radical non-duality. I had heard it and it was like, okay, but I was really at the moment was interested in Neville Goddard and
oh yeah. Yeah.
imagination creates reality and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the shift, it's like all that just fell away. I couldn't see that, there was a separate imagination here that I needed to manipulate, like I was saying earlier, like I could, be in charge. I don't know. But all that it was just like everything I was doing. And I'm not going to do what I said, which is to shit on it, because when I was doing it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was profound. I thought, this is good stuff. I thought it was helping me. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was getting me in the right frame of mind or a positive mindset. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
But then something else happened, and then so. But so the helpful, not helpful. I guess it's because if I had been in a non-duality meeting when the shift happened, I would say, yes, you got to go to non-duality, because that's what people do. They just retrofit it according to what happened to them. So for me, it's not something I talk about because it just happened sitting in a coffee shop, seemingly unrelated to any prior things that I was doing or any practices or anything. So it's a lot of stories of it just spontaneously out of nowhere, just seemingly happening. But I've also heard like, oh, I was listening to so-and-so on YouTube and, this contracted energy fell away or something. So you never know. But it's certainly not hurting anyone, although I'm going to get into that too. I'm interviewing somebody that speaks about the dangers of radical non-duality. So that's one interview I'm not shying away from. Yeah, I like to have, because I would never want any of these things to be hurtful or cult-like.
dangerous. Yeah,
So if we
no.
could talk about coercive control and how
Yeah,
there are these certainly people out there taking advantage of other people. And so
yeah,
I'd like to expose all that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll
And
be interesting.
yeah, really interesting. So another question that just popped up out of nowhere is Walter, so how does your family feel about all this? Has it caused any changes within your family? How are they reacting and responding to you now? Any changes there?
Changes. Well,
Mm.
not really. They don't, they just will say, I wish I knew what you were talking about, like I wish, in other words, I wish I could support you and like, but I just, 5 minutes into the video, I'm just lost. So, something like that. Yeah. I just don't think they're really, it's too inside baseball.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
drop all these names, Tony Parsons, and
Oh, yeah.
we think that everyone knows who these people are, but nobody does.
Yeah.
It's just like, so we mentioned names, and like anybody who's absolutely never heard of this before can be, so sometimes I try to think about that too when I'm doing a video. I'm like, a real beginner, like I'd never heard this. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know the names. I never read a book. To approach it that way.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Kind of
Yeah.
meeting people where they're at and
Well, I just because my family comes to mind. I'm like, all right, so if one of them wants to see, like, what would I say? If they're asking me, like, what is this you're talking about? Yeah, it seems hard to describe it without
Oh,
someone like, turning
yeah.
like, what? What do you mean there's
I
no
mean,
one there? I don't
yeah,
understand. But I guess
yeah,
sometimes the free will conversation seems to be pretty popular. So you could come at it
yeah.
from that
yeah, yeah,
angle, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful.
What does free will mean? What does that mean? I just
Well,
can't.
then what we talk about is because there's no one here to even have free will or not have
Yes.
free will. So it's not like there's someone here that just doesn't have free will that's being dragged around. It's just,
Yeah.
that's the difference, I think,
Yeah.
between just the flat free will
Mm.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Oh,
Walter, do you
okay.
have any big interviews coming up? Anything arising for you? Any big interviews and people that you're speaking with lately?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all kinds of exciting things coming up.
Oh, do
Oh,
share.
All right. Should I give you the dates? Well, I'll tell you just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
People can go if they're on Facebook. I have a Chatting Non-Duality Facebook page, which is solely for the purpose of keeping people informed of the upcoming interviews, which everyone can participate in. So it's kind of like I interview them, but if someone hears something, they want to ask a question, they can interject. And so I try to incorporate people's questions into the interview as well. So it's not just me asking questions.
Yeah.
And people can do that on YouTube, or they can come right into the Zoom. But anyway, I got Tim Freak and Richard Sylvester. We're
Ooh.
going to have a conversation, debate kind of a thing.
oh, that'll be
Yeah.
really good.
That
Yeah.
should be
So
fun.
I
Yeah.
think that'll be really fun. And I'm going to host that, moderate that. So that'll be good. And today I have two things happening. So
Oh.
yeah, I don't know. You're not releasing this today, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, you
you're getting
are?
released
Yeah.
today.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. You're going right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if this gets released in time at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time, we have Not Just This with Don Garland, Hamish, and myself.
Oh,
And that's non-duality. We talk about Kundalini, a lot of things that I don't know about, but those guys know a lot about. And she's a therapist, so she's good with taking questions and stuff. And then Surreal G.
Oh,
Surreal
yes.
G?
Okay,
We've gone
yeah.
back and forth a little bit on our Facebook page. Yeah, we like him. Yeah.
That's at 5:00.
Oh, cool.
Eastern
Beautiful.
time.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch. Richard Clark, he's a Ramana Maharshi guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
there are people who are sort of like to follow a lineage and sort of teach
Oh, yeah.
in line
Yeah.
with that. So I'm interested in that stuff too, and
Yeah.
see where we can all, meet
Go.
and talk about this, because I think we all can agree that there's this mystery happening and nobody knows what it is, and there's no one
Yeah.
here to know what it is, and it's beautiful and amazing. And
Yeah.
who else? I guess that's off the top of my head. That's all I can think of. But that's 2 for today anyway. So this is that'll be my 3 Zooms today for me. Yeah.
You're a busy man. You're
Wow.
hard to keep up with, Walter.
Oh, and I actually, Rosa and Xander will be interviewing me, I guess. Yeah, in December.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Wow, you're in demand,
Wow.
Walter.
I guess so.
Love it.
And those guys are cranking them out. They got a lot of good interviews
Yeah,
as well,
they
just like
do.
you.
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
to see all these new podcasts, non-duality conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
How about you?
And we
You
don't
got
even know what we're
anybody else
talking
coming up?
about. Oh, who do we have? Do we have someone lined up?
Not
Yeah.
current, not that I know, but we are going to do a live Zoom and take questions. We want to do more of that, like getting the community involved and getting more into the questions and the debates amongst people. We did have one, what was it, like maybe 2 weeks ago, when we had Howard and Michael Markham and Razia and all these people who we communicate frequently on Facebook, and they have some
saw that.
amazing posts. So
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, but we also
Yeah.
want to connect to the spiritual community, and we want to connect to just everyday people who are seeking and questioning, and broaden this to possibilities, because it would be nice to touch base with like what you're doing, like every walk of life, every opinion. It's just beautiful to see the different perspectives, and I really respect you for what you're doing in that regard. Not being closed off to just this needs to be this way and this radical non-duality, but the broad rainbow of perspectives and listening to what others have to say and what their experiences are all about. So that's kind of what moves us, and I see that moves you too. So it's just a beautiful way to connect with others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the different stories are so interesting, when they're just so beautiful. Just all the different, stories that come out of let's try to figure out what this is, it's just kind of fun.
It's beautiful, and it's been said in so many ways.
Mm.
Mother Teresa said she sees Christ in all his distressing disguises.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Or just the thing about the net of jewels, that it's this net of jewels, and it reflects the sunlight, but like also it's all these different colors and all these different sort of projections are coming from the same net of jewels,
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that. Ooh.
So back to what I was saying to Howard, just the variety of ways to express the same essence. I think we're all
Mm-hmm.
hinting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in like a lot of the Christian mystics stuff, there's some that I can't even remember the names, but some of the things that are said, it's I don't know what they actually meant, but it seems like, you know, they're saying this, you know, that it's just this, it's just this, not
Absolutely.
somewhere else or something else, you know.
Life
And-
full on, baby. Right,
Yeah.
Walter?
Full on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Full
Corey,
on.
Corey Bright, do you know him? He was helpful
Yeah.
too. Yeah, he
Oh,
sent me
yeah.
a few names. Maybe he can do the same for you. Because he used to
Yeah.
host a lot of speakers. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're ever looking for new guests, I'm sure he could help you out too.
Some
Sounds
fresh
good.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Walter, thank you so much. This has been such a privilege and a pleasure to chat with you. And
Yes.
looking forward to hearing your other interviews and what special stuff you have to come. I mean, it's just really neat how you keep rocking and rolling. And it's so enjoyable to listen to you and your guests. So much appreciation
Yeah.
to you.
Thank you so much. I
Yes.
really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, Walter.
And I look forward to watching your future interviews and the interactive Zooms. And
Yeah.
if you're free later, join in. We'll see you again.
Definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
See you
Yes.
again.
Okay, Walter.
All right. Take
Have
care.
a good
Take
one.
Okay.
care.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.